edition of Survive to Thrive. With me, Dr. Todd. We're going to be covering an important look at everything today, but I need to run a foundation by you of where this came from. I was thinking the other night that, there was a snitch line that was put out by our state, in the state of Nevada. Snitch lines, basically, I call it a snitch line, is an 800 to basically call in and say, hey, this business, this person, they're not compliant, meaning they're not wearing masks, they're not social distancing, they're not doing all these type of things. And I'm like, all right, just another thing is chalk up on a plate of a business owner, chalk up on a plate of somebody you have to worry about, trying to keep things afloat, trying to keep staff employed, keep everybody happy, and now we got a snitch line. So we could actually have somebody just randomly call in and turn us in. So the whole concept, though, is flipping the script. And I was thinking about this the other day, and it came from the aspect of like, look, we're really missing the mark on understanding immunity. We're really not getting this concept. Okay, yeah, on one side, I get it. We have all this political means, and there's no truths, there's no facts, but we are creating a reality of this. Meaning it doesn't matter what story that we're going to be fed. If the public buys into it, it now becomes our reality. Do you get how this works? Because now people believe that this is the reality, that there really is a virus out there, that there really is a threat that we need to get away from. I'd say, no polls, but I'd say about 90% of this country is bought into this hook, line, and sinker. Like, you guys are a unique group that are showing up and listening to this, and that you understand it from a whole different aspect. But I'd say 90% of this country is bought into this concept. All right? And so they're running with this idea that there is a virus out there that could attack them and make them sick. Well, okay, so we back up and say, hey, this is the reality as people see it. And what you need to understand is where our immunity comes from. And I've done this before, but I'm going to walk you all the way through our immunity and hopefully shed some light and open a door on a closed head that you guys can actually help share this and bring this around, because immunity does not work this way. In fact, flipping the script means I think the government, now there's a loop to this, but I think the government should be responsible for future outbreaks, not the public. Let that marinate for a second. So I think the government should be responsible, i.e. somebody is going to go down on this for constricting the public too much and creating a larger outbreak. We're going to create more stress on the system, more stress on our elderly and the immune compromised. And so I'm flipping the script. I'm not the one responsible for getting you sick, meaning that if you could actually get exposed, and little doses of exposure by not holding it all back, then your immune system's got a better chance to deal with this in the future. This is what we call herd immunity. And it's how it works, but we've been bought into a system, or been sold, and majority of people have bought into this concept, this idea that viruses have the impact on our body to make us sick, without the understanding that our immune system can fight that. But our immune system needs exposure. Now we go back, and everybody's heard this and seen this in the aspect of the Purell generation. We made everything too pure. Everything was too clean. And then thus we created more virulent strains. Wait a minute. So what are we doing right now? Are we or are we not creating mutations of this virus? This is how viruses work. Is that they're going to mutate and find a way to survive. Meaning that they can't, oh my gosh, I can't do this. And how a virus works is that can only plug into your system and take you over if you are compromised. Okay? Which means not necessarily immune compromised, but if you open the door, you have a long weekend, you eat crappy food, you don't sleep well, you got tons of stress, bills piling up, things aren't going well, you drink tons of alcohol, smoke a bunch of weed, I don't know. You open the door to your cells being permeable to a virus that can come in and steal all your nutrients. And then your body's just shot because you're red blood cells running around here you go, I don't really have anything left for you, but we'll deliver this because I got viruses that are stealing all my energy. This is how your immune system works. But if you get exposed to it, and we joke about this as like, let's have a COVID party. Dare I say it? My God. And one of our nurses were joking at the Nectar when we're doing those types of things. You got COVID? Anybody got COVID? Let's go lick the people that have COVID. You know who you are, you crazy people. Let's go lick the person that has COVID, because if you understand immunity, you also understand that it's like taking your immune system to the gym. It's like, let's go work out. I don't really feel like it, but okay, let's do it. And so your immune system gets its strength, it gets its memory, it gets its focus, it gets its clarity off of exposure. This is why an infant, one of the best things to do is let them get dirty. Everybody knows this. Raise your hand if you're live on Facebook. Just, yes, amen, because the kids that play out in the dirt have healthier immune systems. They don't get allergies as often, sick as often. They don't have all sorts of learning disabilities. And yes, you want the stats, you incredible, truthful people now that require a double placebo-controlled trial to be able to verify every statement. I can back it up. Just message me, because I've read all these studies and we know these types of things, how the immune system works. So then we resist and actually try to quarantine, try to mask the virus away from each other, try to socially distance the virus away from each other. What happens? Well, you got bigger and bigger masses not being exposed, potentially, even though the masks probably don't even work. But you got bigger masses potentially being non-exposed, which means when it finally goes, the masses will be exposed. And when the masses are exposed, there's going to be more people that get sick, more stress on our hospital systems, more stress on our healthcare system. And yes, the government should be responsible for this ignorance and perpetuating something that does not exist. But you are doing this in the aspects of not understanding immunity, thinking that immunity exists within a vaccination, thinking that immunity exists within a quarantine or a mask. But now you've created this scenario that this perfect wave is going to come. Now, this is hypothetical, but if you look at this, you're going to have masses be exposed. And in the masses, we're going to find out the weak of the herd. This is what happens. We'll find out weak of the herd. It's how the wolf takes out, like, oh, there's a weak young one. Or there's the one that's lagging behind, a little injured. We'll take that one. And so what's going to happen is not only cases are going to start to go up, the sickness will start to go up because you're not exposed. Now, where is this impact coming from most? Well, we're taking our little kiddos, which are little petri dishes. Yeah, everybody says it. They spread germs. Like, well, yeah, this is because they go in and lick the walls and they lick each other and they lick the floor. Right? But it was that exposure that was healthy. We took their immune system to school and we took their brain to school. Now we kill that. And it doesn't look like we're going to go back to that. So I love this analogy, but it's like paying our Visa bill, our credit card that we ran up, can't really pay it all, but we're going to pay our Visa bill with our MasterCard. It's just delaying the inevitable. We just shift it from here to here. And so what we've done as a world has shifted the impact. Now, you take a country like Sweden that says, look, we believe in herd immunity. We believe in our republic. We believe in actually that the people have our democracy, I should say, that we believe in our democracy, that the people have the right to choose and the people actually tell us what to do, i.e. government. And the government said, look, we'll do what the people want. What do you want, people? And people said, let's stay open. Let's weather this storm because we believe in our immune systems and I think we can get through it. And they did. And so the concept, and you even hear smatterings of this within the medical community. There's herd immunity. Well, we don't want to talk about herd immunity because why? It takes the pockets out of pharmaceutical companies to manufacture vaccine. There, I said it. Go ahead. Think about that for a second. Because if I get exposure to it, and I'm like, I get it, and I get a little sick, a little worn down, and then I ramp back up, I'm okay. I don't need the product that they have to sell me. Are you getting this? Are you listening to this and what I am saying? So then you start to realize that there's more to this picture. Okay, but we're flipping the script. So I want to go after the government that's actually restricted this, or states specifically. Bailey's moving to Sweden. I'm with you. Check out Uruguay. They actually have an incredible republic right now. Dead serious. I know. I look at these things as well. So, but anyways, we have a government that's handing out money like it's candy, all right, that should be responsible for restricting the public, for restricting access, restricting this herd immunity, which causes a bigger problem, and they should pay for it. So I get to this conclusion that the government is responsible for it. But who's ultimately responsible for it? Because at the end of the day, the hospitals are like, overwhelmed, we need more money, this is crazy, we can't control it, and help. And the government ultimately steps in and is like, more money. And that means what? It's our tax burden. We write the check for it ultimately. And so what I'm asking today, the tip and the trick today, is for you to stand up and get exposed. Yes. Now, we're not talking about running around naked in your neighborhood. Dr. Todd told me to run around, well, even though that's good for now in your backyard, hopefully, because the sun exposure and vitamin D. Full body exposure, 10 minutes. Nothing can get you, your immune system, in charge. But what I'm asking you, does it make sense to get exposed and walk through the process, or to hide away from it, waiting for it to get worse and worse and worse? To become more virulent, as they say. And this is what happened with the flu. Now, there's a lot of things that happened in the flu pandemic that led to over 100 million people passing away. Okay, and it had to do with weakened immune systems coming back from war, a stressed country, stressed world. But it's the same concept. It's the same concept that you need to run with. Yeah, Bailey's commented, great concept. Chickenpox parties that I grew up with in the 80s were measles parties back a decade or two before, back in the 60s, 50s and 60s. To a point that now we're trying to sterilize. We're trying to sterilize our world. Never going to happen. It's never going to happen. So we continue to relive in this reality that's been created for us and accept this reality, or we start to create our own story. And that's all I'm challenging you to do today, is flip the script. Challenge a state government. Because there's more truths on herd immunity. There's more truths on how your immune system works with better exposure. This is a concept behind a vaccine, is trying to get your body exposed. It's weak though, because that's why you need boosters, that your body will not actually go full board on a vaccine. That's why it needs a booster, or that's why you need the flu vaccine every year, as they say. However, if you actually get your body exposed without a vaccine, you get 100% immunity to that virus or bacteria. And we know that exposure is king. Exposure is king. And I've had to have hard conversation with immune suppressed people. I'm like, yeah, but you got to consider, I understand there's this potential threat out there. But you got to consider, by hiding from that threat, it's going to be worse down the road. Isn't it kind of like life? You think about this. You know the things that you need to do. You totally know the things that you need to do. And you know by delaying them, they will cause more havoc. They will cause more pain. They will cause more frustration and anger and fear and things like that in the future. And we continue to delay them. We know that losing the weight right now and maintaining a healthy body composition, if we do it now, is easier than if we do it next year. Because every year we get older, it gets hard. We know that having the hard conversation within our relationships, maybe with a significant other, will lead to growth, would lead to a more intimate relationship. But we tend to delay those things. We tend to it's too uncomfortable, I don't want to do it. We know that confronting one of our kids about their behaviors is super hard. It's super uncomfortable. And sometimes we delay it. And you delay it long enough, they turn out to be shits. Like literally, kids that are just like, you're like, oh, I'd like to beat you. Think about it. Expose yourself. Flip this script. I'm tired of being told that I'm the one that potentially can get somebody else sick. And I'm rising up because I want to thrive in my environment, I'm going to say, by you, said person, by you not doing what you need to do, get out and get exposed, you're creating this whole situation to be worse. My word for me and my family? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We've stayed open. We've stayed essential. I've been exposed. I know it. Absolutely have. Pretty sure that most of us were exposed back in November, December anyways. And there's a story behind that. But bottom line for you, which do you choose? You choose the script that a virus will come and attack you and make you sick, and you have to stay away until magically this virus just either disappears or we have a vaccine. Or you flip the script and say, you know what? I have an immune system that can heal. It's a God-given divine system that was built in, my gosh, that was built in to be able to handle what it needed to handle. And part of it being able to handle it is taking it to work. Taking it to work. Getting it exposed and letting my system work through it systematically as exposures happen. Not quarantining it, not keeping it off until virtually when the point it's that I finally have to go out, I'm exposed way more than I would have been if I would just let it go. In love and light, flipping the script today. The government is responsible, not me. The government now is responsible. But ultimately, at the end of the day, who's responsible for you is 100% you. You have the power to make yourself sick. You also have the power to make yourself healthy. Let that marinate, and we'll talk to you next time. In love and light, I'm Dr. Todd.